Hello and welcome to this week's This Is Wrestling Films Wrestling Wednesdays. I'm joined by a very special guest, Adam Mansfield, how we all know him as Muscles. Muscles Mansfield, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing, Martin?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. I'm just, as I say, I'm very admiring your amazing setup there with the belts and masks and memorabilia. It looks amazing.
Lockdown. Bored. I thought I might as well.
Yeah, it's really nice.
They're all 100% plastic, you know.
Yeah,
they're all plastic. They're like commemorative, but they'll do. Yeah, exactly. I'm only displaying them. Can't fit around my fat crap, but there you go. Which also happened during lockdown.
I love it. I mean, obviously we can.
My muscular physique.
It's all muscles. That's all I remember you of. As I say, when I've seen you live, we know the crowd react. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
We'll start off by that. Obviously, you mentioned obviously the lockdown and you getting on with building all that during that time. How have you found the last year with having to be so restricted?
Oh, really? I found lockdown hard. I mean, and the wrestling, like especially, I've been wrestling 28 years, I think now, something like that. And I've just missed it. You know, although before lockdown, I wasn't getting booked by any promoters. I don't know why, but I wasn't. But there you go. Maybe I've been too quiet on the social media and I don't know how to work it because I'm too old. Perhaps I don't know. But then you still got Doug and that using it. So if they can do it, I'm sure I'll be able to do it. Justin says I've got to pull my finger out my arse and try and do it. You know, I mean, you can say arse, can you?
Yeah. It's fine.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. But yeah, so yeah, I found it hard. And what found it even harder when I've been watching the WWE Network.
Yeah.
I've been watching all the who I grew up watching, and like when I was wrestling, watching them at the same time. They're retiring.
I
think, my God, is that me? I don't want to. I mean, I watched the Undertaker. Did you watch the Undertaker one?
Yeah.
The series.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people says, "Oh, yeah, we get it why he don't want to give up, and we get it why he don't because he's still got it there." And he's like. And again, I find, is that going to be me? I don't want to let go. But then, I don't know. But it's always in the back of my mind. And if I'm going to stink a match up with somebody, then that's it. It is time to say goodbye and do something else. I don't have to leave the wrestling business. I can still be involved in it somehow. But again, it's just like that fear of not performing in front of the punters anymore. Or I call them the punters.
Yeah.
Or the fans or whatever. You know what I mean?
Guys like me.
Hey, John Short got awarded at the Wrestlers Reunion quite recently, right? And he said a quote. Someone said to him, he says, "John, don't be a punter." And then John said to him, he says, "If there weren't any punters, there'll never be any wrestling shows," which is true. Yeah. So at heart, we're all punters.
Yeah,
well deserved award, well, because he's been in the business ages, and it's good to see that he's still going. He's still doing little bits now, which is nice to see.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's one of the things that I'm quite intrigued about is that crossover period of time that when you get, say, for example, you do work less or maybe stop working as a particular wrestler. I've had this conversation with a couple of people that have worked as managers in British wrestling. There's not a huge take up in it, probably because obviously the payday or whatever else, maybe promoters don't want to pay to have someone just as there as a manager. But from my point of view and from other fans' point of views, we're so used to watching on TV or a big WWE event, etc., characters outside of the ring. They're a big part of telling the story. I've always thought in my mind when I've seen you, I've thought the way you interact with a crowd in your own unique way, you just have this habit of being able to just zone in on someone and be able to interact with them and make them laugh or make them smile or whatever it is, however you want to work them. Especially obviously when you're flexing the body at them and you're doing all that kind of character, which is great to see. I've always thought that's a great way of like building up the heat if someone's in the ring and you need to create an atmosphere. You've got this ability, that you've got this mindset and ability to do that, even if your body can't wrestle. You can do things like that. So I've always been intrigued by. Wanted to ask you what was one of the things I wanted to speak to you about. Really, is that something you feel like you could do in future years?
Oh yeah, I mean, I still do that. I mean, I could still try and pick some. Well, I could like go around. That's what this is what it means. This what I think this is what it misses nowadays, right? It misses a lot of the workers or the talent out there that will go around and say, or they'll have that in depth one-on-one with a fan or a punter, because when you notice that fan or a punter that's really into it and you're having that, that'll feed off from that one person. It'll feed off all round. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I did it, or I don't know what I done, but I think I've just noticed other people do it. I mean, other people, sometimes people go too far, and then like they actually would be physical with them, where I don't. I keep that distance at all times. You know what I mean? There's a fine line that you do with that. You know. I mean, if I notice anything, if I do that, the minute I do, if I feel like I'm ever in trouble, I'll always get into the ring quick, because if I know a punter would get into the ring, they can't do me for anything, because it's like, you've got into the ring and you've accepted a challenge. So if it was outside of the ring, I'd never do it. I think that Andre said that. I think he taught us that if a fan ever got in the ring, then you got every right to put your hands on them, because they've actually accepted that challenge. I think, okay, it makes sense. But if they don't, then like just keep your distance. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But no, but going back on that, on like picking someone out, I don't. Where did I pick it? I don't know where I picked it up from. I think it just come naturally. Like I just like able to. Or is it? No, it's again. It's being taught to work an audience, work the fans. That's what we do. We're workers, and we work the fans, and we try and get them believing and try and get them involved, especially on little shows as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get like 100, maybe 300-400 people. I mean, that's little shows, but then you pick someone out, and then that one will create your environment, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there's always one fan when we started off. His name was Derek. Learning difficulties, but again, we was always able to work him because he went for it, and he was a fan. You know. And I think it was his mother. I think me and Justin were taking up once, and we always worked Derek and his mother, and we always, because if we couldn't get them to, then we know it'll go. Anyway, so we were taking up, and Justin was like in their face, like doing whatever they did, and he cut one of the rings. Oh my god! I says, what? She's got a fucking brick in her handbag. I says, I'll leave off. She actually won, and I said, so I've done the same thing. I've gone, fuck. I said, you're right. I told you, fucking hell. But the place exploded because the punter got their comeuppance on us, but we weren't working them. We was working, you know. But no, it's a funny little story.
Yeah.
You know? But it's everywhere I go. I mean, I'll try and pick someone out. You know what I mean? If I notice one side, then I work them. But then I get that reaction. But then I can't forget about the other side. Where a lot of people would just work one side or work certain people, but then you got all sides of the ring to work. So I guess it does miss. I mean, it's got that element of that where it misses. They just, I think a lot of wrestlers and a lot of workers just wrestle, which is fine. I mean, for a pure wrestling fan, they're going to get that reaction from, and they're going to get that heat from that side. But if you go to like a big family show, then you need that heat from that side.
Yeah. There's an element to all of it, isn't there? In terms of as an overall show, you want to be able to. Yeah, you want, as someone, when I attend a show, I want to kind of see a mix. I'm going to watch the wrestling, but I want elements of escapism, not just from a competitive point of view. I kind of want those moments that's going to make me laugh or make me want to boo someone or make me cheer someone. And it's those, especially like you mentioned with the sort of family shows or other shows that you're maybe not able to follow a longer term story. You're there for the one day, and a lot of the wrestlers and matches are there for that one particular day. So there's no background story to it. So you have to quite quickly identify to the crowd who's the heel, who's the face, and something you can do naturally just makes a big difference to all of us. Because then when you go, oh, that's that person, right? Okay, we're gonna cheer up with that person. Right. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was when I saw you when I was doing some filming with the Tycoon, and we were at a show. I think it was in Warlingham. And it was just you came out in your dressing gown, and you just interacted with that crowd on that side, and you just kept taking the time away from, rather than starting the match or getting into the match, you just spent that time winding up 3 or 4 crowd members and making sure everyone got into it. And there was a great mix of people finding it funny, but also you were doing that thing of I'm making myself a bad guy because I'm trying to avoid the match until I've distracted this frustrated this baby
Yeah,
face
yeah,
until I come in, and that's what I loved. It was a great art form.
yeah. It's a psychology, isn't it, as well, I suppose? And it's like, yeah, it's just something that I've just done. It's like I think the character, like what I do as a character wise, it helps me to do that as well because, yeah, I like, or as I get older, I don't need to like beneath myself, if you know what I mean. I think, why am I going to wrestle? I just want to short. I'm getting older. I just want a short night. I just want to do this. See, again, that's all part of the psychology as well. So I'm not going to get a short night. You know what I mean? Because I got this young fella coming up and chasing me. All right, want to have a victory over me. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to keep in there. And I think, no, I want to get it over quickly. You know, but it don't happen. So that's another sort of psychology to a match that I can go through. You know, so there's all sorts that I can go with. You know, but no, yeah. I mean, I think with smaller audiences, they want to feel involved in on a match. I think if smaller audiences feel involved in a match and they actually think, oh yeah, I'm actually doing something to like to help this good guy beat this bad guy, you know. But
Yeah,
then
which is
if
great.
I go good guy, I'll do the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go the other way. I can like try and get the crowd involved that way, you know.
Yeah, but that's what's great, and I think that's where
Yeah,
you obviously from your experience, you know how to work a different audience
yeah,
sizes, different crowds, and that's where
that's right.
people like obviously the younger generations and the new wrestlers coming through. That's obviously experience that you can pass on and
Yeah,
coach and teach, but also
yeah,
that's the beauty of when you come to see you work with someone else is you get a story element to it, but at the same
yeah.
time they're going to get extra heat or popularity based on how you are with them. So it's a win-win.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, as a natural villain myself, I always try and make the baby face look well. I always make it's my job to make the baby face look good. Yeah, that's what a villain does. A good villain always make the baby face look good because the baby face is going to sell the tickets. The villain ain't going to sell the tickets necessarily. The villain's there to put the baby face over. If the villain wins, then he's got to put the baby face. He's got to win, but at the same time put the baby face over. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
totally do.
I think it's well, my ethic is like always make the baby face look good. I'll get my shine. I will always go out booing because then if I got an audience booing me, then I've done my job. You know what I mean? And if I got
Yeah,
the baby face over, then I've done my job even better. You know, I'm not trying to big myself up, but that is my role in that match is like to get the baby face over because the baby face is going to sell tickets next time because all the fans want to come and see the baby face.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, okay. Like the fans might want to come and see the villain get like beat up and things like that. And if I can get that as well, then yeah, I've done another good thing there. You know what I mean? But it's again, it's telling that story. It's like getting that baby face over. Like the villain wants to get over. I know that for sure. Like the way the villain gets over is to get booed. But then you got to understand as a villain, you got to make that baby face look tenfold. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
that's how I've been. Well, not how I've been taught. That's how I see it anyway. That's my own personal opinion.
yeah. Which great.
So
I mean, I was going to hopefully take you back, obviously, to when you were growing up and first started getting into wrestling. Obviously, you
okay.
mentioned a lot of the wrestlers that are retiring that you know you enjoyed watching while you've been working over the years. But how young were you when you started finding wrestling and being a fan of it?
Ooh. Now I was I remember like the first memory of wrestling is Big Daddy and Giant A Stacks. That's the first memory I have of wrestling, right? So I remember that on our TV, and then I was getting slightly into it more. Then I sort of remember Finlay. Then I sort of remember Rollerball Rocco, and then I think it was '87. Like mum, me mum, I saw the WWF. Can we say WWF now?
Yeah, yeah.
We can. Yeah, yeah.
They're not
WWE,
over me.
well, or WWE. Right. Back then, you know what I mean. They had the Bobby Heenan line, isn't it? They had the dragon. They had the snake man. They had the two bulldogs, two moon dogs, and they had the yeah. We get the picture. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so I was watching, and I remember the WrestleMania 3. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um. I remember that vaguely. It was Bulldogs uh and Tito against the Hart Foundation and Dangerous Danny Davis. And I remember that match particularly because obviously it's the Bulldogs. That's why it got exposure over here. I think that was before when Sky come over was broadcast because I can't remember when Sky first broadcast in England.
yeah. I think it was about '89. It was something like that. It was quite late. It was
Yeah,
late '80s. Yeah,
yeah, it was, yeah. But I remember that vividly, and that was like on ITV or something like early on the hours in the morning. So okay, fair enough. And I didn't think nothing of it then. and then I think it was about 1989, 1990. I went to secondary school. Like when I came out of primary school, I went to secondary school, and then I was hearing this talk of like the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. I thought, who the bloody hell is Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan? Everyone was talking about it like WrestleMania 6 time. I thought, okay, fair enough. And then I was like, just find out bits and bobs here and there. And a friend of mine, like, they had Sky, or like a cable TV back then, is what we call it. And then they put the Royal Rumble 1991 on, and I watched that, and then immediately I was hooked. Then Royal Rumble 91, hooked. That's it. I wanted to watch it again. They wanted to turn it off. They had enough, but I was just, no, I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again because it was so colourful.
Yeah.
You know, it's like someone just put a paintbrush on the television and all this colour came up, you know, and it was exciting. Yeah. All seeing like Hulk Hogan, all the red and yellow, you know what I mean? So I was immediately then, I was a Hulk Hogan fan. Then when I saw him, yeah, Hogan. But then I went into more of it. Like, so I went into the history of it. Then I went to Blockbusters, rented some videos and that, and then watched the WWF videos, watching like WrestleMania, like SummerSlam '89, WrestleMania 1, like getting that history side of it. And then I was getting more hooked into it. And then it was April when they come over for the tour. I nearly went to the London Arena then, but something happened. I don't think I could get there. But then it was in October of that year, that same year. My mum and dad says, whatever you do, come straight home from school. I says, okay. So I got home, and then mum put me wrestling top out. I thought, we're going wrestling, aren't we? No, we're just going out. I said, no, we're going wrestling, aren't we? No. So it took me up there, like, and then was going in completely opposite way of the London Arena. And I said to Dad, Dad, we're going to watch the WWF, aren't we? He said, no. I said, no, we are. I said, if we're going, we've got to go to the London Arena. We're going the other way. It's nowhere near there. I said, is it really? So we've got to go there, have we? I said, yeah, because that's where the WWF are holding they hold their events. That's where I did it last time. Didn't know it was going to be at the Albert Hall. Anyway, I got there and I was absolutely wetting myself. I was right up in the gods, right? And that's where I watched my first WWE event at the Royal Albert Hall. And then that's it. I was just done. Like, my mum's friend at work, she taped all the pay-per-views, so I was able to watch the pay-per-views. We couldn't afford Sky back then because like we was like an average family, you know what I mean? But it's like as it went on and on and on, I got more and more into it, getting all the pay-per-views. Like, and then when I got older, I got myself a paper round. My dad got able to got Sky, but if you wanted Sky, I had to pay for it myself. So I had to pay for the Sky TV, the monthly subscription myself, £15 a month, something silly back then. So I was able to keep on top of it then, and then started again, and then saw it and saw. Am I jumping the gun a bit now?
No.
Was you gonna ask how I got into it myself?
Yeah, no, later on. Yeah, later on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in '93, it was '93. My dad, I saw this wrestling thing on the Big Breakfast. Do you remember the Big Breakfast?
Yeah.
I saw this wrestling thing on the Big Breakfast. It had Andre on there, but didn't know his name at the time. And then I thought, there's a wrestling school. I could go and do this because I really love it. So I'm going to give it a go. I've done judo before. I held my own, you know. Excuse me. So, and then my dad found a clipping in the Kent Messenger, rang the number, and that's it. Rest was history.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's amazing that emotional connection that you've got from, and that's what I love hearing. Because obviously, when I come and see people, I love hearing the fact that they're big fans, just like I am. But you did something about it in terms of you got into it and actually did the training and become a wrestler. But yeah, no, they were amazing days. I mean, the early '90s. I'm a few years younger than you because I was born in '82, but I remember it a little bit of the Hogan days. But really, WrestleMania 7 was when I first watched it, and I didn't see much more of it until '95, '96, and obviously for me, it was the Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels stuff just grabbed me, and Shawn Michaels after that was just the greatest for me. So Hogan got me a little bit, and but I saw more of like his films and cartoon TV show rather than the rest of the time. I didn't see much of it in the late '80s, early '90s, and then luckily by mid '90s I was able to watch it all the time, and I was hooked. But yeah, it's great. I mean that Royal Rumble '91. I mean, what a way to start.
Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, really
so,
good. Yeah.
Albert Hall, obviously, I'm going to touch base on that a little bit more again because you mentioned obviously that's your first event as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have? I mean, obviously, does it feel like a bit of a blur when you think back, or do you remember anything?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I remember all the matches vividly when I was there, right? Well, no, I wouldn't know. Yeah, but it was just like so surreal being there. You know what I mean? Where it was, you know what I mean? And then just seeing everything. And then looking back in it, I thought, wow, that was actually a good card as well on that. Like you had the Rockers and the Nasty Boys, like, you know, and then you had the Undertaker there as well. It's like, who would have thought back when I seen him back then, and then what he is now, what he's considered in the business now, you know what I mean? It's like unbelievable. Of course, you had the British Bulldog as well. And Andre the Giant was there. You know, Andre the Giant was there. He turned up at the end. You know, and that was just like a blur. It was like, but everything was just like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is not real. This is not real. This is not real. It's not real. This is great. I'm seeing my heroes. I'm seeing this colour that I saw on television live and in person, even though I was like 4,000 feet up in the air, if you know what I mean. You know, it felt like it. You needed binoculars to see it. But again, you couldn't help but not get into it, you know.
Yeah, it's
Dad
incredible.
said, just let yourself go. Let yourself go. And then I think he said to me, he says, oh, I like that milkshake fella. I says, ooh, the milkshake, you know. I said, you mean the earthquake? He says, yeah, I like the milkshake fella. I says, okay. I think he called Typhoon Buffoon.
Brilliant. Good
Yeah.
names. And new versions of it. They'll be the ones that on the maybe the seaside tours. They'll be the fake versions of them that go around. So they'll be milkshake and buffoon. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll jump forward then to when you mentioned obviously you know your dad got the message and you started training into becoming a wrestler. What was the, you know, could you talk a little bit about what that was like in terms of who was that with, and was it a real shock to you?
Okay, so when I first started, right, so I got the train down. I think my mum come with me at first, and she went off shopping, and so I got the train down to Folkes, and then Andre would then meet us at the train station, right, and then he would take us to this lock-up garage.
Okay, and this is Andre
Baker.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'd take us. So this training school was a lock-up garage. So when it was hot, it was hot. When it was cold, it was cold. When you know, and then you ask where the toilets were, he says, right, you go out the door, you do a right, and then you do a right again. And you said, that's an alleyway. I said, that's your toilet. Oh, okay. So you just accepted it then, you know. And then there was no matted area. It was just this old school wrestling ring, right? Old British school wrestling ring. And I was so excited seeing a wrestling ring. And then that first training session, you had Dean Ayass. He actually started training. Alex Shane. I can't remember who else was there, but that's who I remember there. I think when I met Justin, it was like a couple of months, like a month or two afterwards, I think it was. Because like we sort of like didn't cross paths then. But anyway, so I was always eager to get in and like, because this is what I wanted to do, right? Because I've seen it and that's what I wanted to do. And then Andre used me as a crash test dummy. When I first started, I was 9 stone soaking wet. Now I'm 7, and then I've got on the scales recently, and they said 17 stone. And I'm going, fuck off, there, broke. But there you go. But when I first started, I was 9 stone soaking wet, right? So I was eager to take the bumps. So when I was doing the bumps, I might have felt a bit more then, but again, with me being at a young age, I didn't batter an eyelid. I just took it. But no, it was just that first wrestling, and I remember the ring. The ring wasn't padded how they are now. The padding in the ring's end was just loads of layers of carpet. Like as you get in in your hallway or in your living room, all offcuts of carpet and underlay. That was your padding in the ring, and then there was a spring underneath it. You know, so when you bump, you had to brake full properly, and you bump and you felt the bump. You know, but no, it was that training session was. I felt good because I wanted to go back for more. Or more, because I was getting hungry and wanted to learn more and wanted to learn more. I mean, back then I didn't have a clue, but as I went on and on and on, again, it was just great. It was a great feeling and having that knowledge of being in a wrestling ring. It's like, wow, I'm in a real live wrestling ring, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really exciting. Dean Ayass, who you mentioned, I'm a big fan of. I've had the pleasure of spending a little bit of time with him. Really lovely guy. And obviously Alex Shane, you know, amazing career he's had as always with running a company and obviously running the likes of Wrestle Talk and so on. What were those guys like when you were training?
Again, they were excited. It's just as what I was. I mean, Dean had that first wrestling session, and like I think Andre was going to show a few moves on him, but then I remember Dean saying, "Look at this guy. He's obviously like he could be a crash test dummy." He says, "Okay, fair enough." I mean, Dean had in fairness with Dean, right? He had a go. He had a go at the wrestling. He had to do it, but he felt it wasn't for him. So early on, he took other avenues where he felt more comfortable, like MCing, and that's how he learned into being manager as well, I suppose, when he came, because he was MCing, he was just seeing lots of different things, and he learned how to be a manager and what to do, you know. But yeah, he had a go, which is all good respect to him, you know what I mean. And then Alex Shane, again, he was just gangly 14-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid, like really tall, no muscle on him. Want to be like a Mikey Whipwreck type of character, you know what I mean? But no, like we used to like do some training sessions and like have little sparring bouts. Again, I thought they were good, but then looking back at it, I think they probably weren't that good. But there you go. We just got older and wise now, But
but yeah, but obviously you learn how to work and obviously take the bumps and learn the moves. Do you remember at what point you started understanding, or was there someone who spoke to you about how to put a match together, or was that just literally come from training week to week?
That's from training week to week. We've got the fundamentals of it first of all, but actually putting matches together for me, I was just training and try. I mean, the best way to try and put a match together is like just to get in and then spar and just wrestle. Then everything comes so apparent, and you think, oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that, and I could do this. And then actually video it or something like that. I think, yeah, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do it. Would the crowd react to that? But as I was wrestling, like training wrestling, because I was 9 stone shaking, I never really had a gimmick. I couldn't get a right gimmick for myself. I've tried loads of gimmicks. There was like Adam Andrews, there was Ace Adam Andrews, there was like young schoolboy wrestler Adam Mansfield or Adam C exclusive, things like all these things are going about. You know what I mean? Something weren't quite right. I couldn't get nothing. Andre knew I could wrestle and I could work, and he knew I wanted to wrestle. So what he did with me was put me as a referee, right? And after I was just devastated when I found out at first. I thought, no, I just want to wrestle. That's all I want to do. I've got Justin and Alex starting off their feud. You know what I mean? And I've got other mates who's come in like as well that I've got to know, like, and they're all like getting their big stardom, and I'm just still the referee. Like, really, referee? Okay. But then looking back here, I was so pleased that I was refereeing because I was able to. I refereed some good matches and some good people as well. But then I was able to learn, because when I was refereeing, I was able to learn. Think, okay, he's doing this and he's doing that. Perhaps when I not refereeing anymore, and I'll eventually get into my find my gimmick, then I will take these things I've learned and put them into practice. If you understand what I mean, which helped me structure a match. I'll put this there and I'll put that there. And then looking at the punters, think, oh, they're reacting to this, they're reacting to that. So I understood more the psychology of things. So that helped me.
It's one thing sitting down in a crowd and watching it and going, all right, that's working, that's not working, or whatever. But because you're actually in there and you're involved as part of it, you're picking it up a lot. You're able to look at it from a totally different point of view, and that's a great learning curve. But it just sounds like you went a really good school.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time as well, it's taught me that a referee is not just a referee. A referee is more important to a match than what the actual wrestlers are, because the referee's reactions can count as well. If you know what I mean. So their timing's got to be on, or you got to really get the referee involved in what you're doing, because if the referee ain't involved in what you're doing, then it's not going to make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the work. I mean, a lot of the newer referees, they say what you want and what's not. Like, what's going to finish. But a lot of the old school referees think, oh yeah, they'll just pick it up naturally and they'll be able to talk to the workers inside the ring as well, because that's another communication point as well. Yeah. So if one worker is over the other side and I'm over this side, I can communicate between the referee. Yeah. So it's again, the referee is an important part of the match, and I learned that as well, because when I was refereeing as well, like Alex and Justin, like they were obviously relaying messages through myself, and I've had to relay messages. So I knew that's not just when I first found out I was just going to be a referee, but then I think actually I'm more important to a match than I'm actually just as important to a match as the actual wrestlers themselves or the workers themselves. So yeah. So I've got that experience on the inside. So if people want to referee, I mean, and then when Mike White came along, he was sort of like my replacement, and I was able to transition from a referee to then wrestling because Mike White was my replacement. So they brought him in to do that.
And was this a sort of a local venue to the training school, or was this different venues you were working?
Different venues was working. So we was in Ashford, Maidstone, Folkestone, Sittingbourne. It was all over Kent at first, and then obviously after that we branched up to Telford, and we branched up to Bedworth, and then Birmingham, and then Essex. Branched out there. But it's all started around the Kent area. But the first Hammerlock shows, was actually in the actual training lockup garage. But it's like just training shows. That's all he wanted to do, Andre. He weren't interested in putting on major shows. But as soon as time went on, he ended up doing it, like to give us more of an opportunity and more experience to do that. But yeah. But that was my side. But then a lot of my friends sort of like left. But then that was the political side of it. Whereas I hate politics. I really hate politics. And that's what gets in the way of it sometimes. A lot of the time, not sometimes, a lot of the times. And if the politics wasn't there, then it'd be a whole lot better for me. So that's why I try and stay away from politics. I'm at work when I'm working. There's politics there. I hate politics. We can't do this. Why? Because that. We can't do this. Why? Because that. Oh, why is that? No, it's political. Politics. I hate politics.
Yeah, no, not fun. I mean, obviously, I'm an outsider looking in, so I'm just a fan, and all I try and do is put some positive content out there to promote the industry and try and help. And I don't, I'm very lucky that people open their doors and let me talk to them and let me share their stories. But I try and avoid that sort of stuff as best I can. I hear a lot, I get told a lot, and I just think to myself, I can't comprehend it. I mean, I don't. From my point of view, I'm a big sports fan. Well, that's the thing. So I'm a big sports fan, so I know rivalries and sports and stuff, but I never understand like when a promoter tells me that another promoter goes around taking their posters down or tries to get them cancelled from their venue, and I'm thinking, I get it. I get some of it, but like it's not really taking money out of someone, is it? If you're not.
No. Is it really necessary? You know what I mean? What's the point? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm like. I could be just as bad. I think, I've been wrestling 28 years. Why is this young person going to take my spot? No, I want this young person to take me personally. I want him to take my, because I'm not going to be around forever. So any knowledge I've got, I want him to learn as well. Because he's going to carry it on. I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm coming to an end. I'm glad that I'm all for people coming up in this business and wanting to learn and then taking it to that next level. You know what I mean? And I'm so happy of how the business is going now. Like the British wrestling scene. I'm not one of these. I don't want to be one of these old guys that's just going to hang on to keep my spot. If there's younger talent there behind me that wants to take that spot as well, go for it, because you're the one that's going to carry this business on. You're going to take this to the next level, because there's someone else that's going to come up behind them, and I hopefully whatever I say to them, they're going to say, yes, I met this Muscles Mansfield character. But this Muscles, and he helped me do this and he helped me do that. That's what I'm doing. I'm just helping now the next generation. I mean, there's been two. I think it's like the second generation now that's I've seen come through. There's been generation before me, generation after me, and then there's another generation that I see coming up, which I'm trying to keep up with them. And that's a feat in itself as well. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy of where it's going.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'd say going to events now. I mean, it's incredible to to attend things all the time, because it's just the style and different types of wrestling that are on show now, and obviously the imports that come over. Obviously, I think when I first started going, when it was WWE shows is one thing, but when I first started going to independent shows and other company shows, a lot of them were a talent was brought over, and that was the idea, is to sell the tickets. Whereas now it's amazing when you think, obviously you still get that and it's important because obviously it works, but the amount of British wrestlers that can sell a show on their own, I love that. It gives me real excitement. It's like, and when you see them going off to America or Japan and they're selling their shows, and you think, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. You know what's even more weird for me when I see Fergal? and he was like on ICW or Progress, and they didn't bring any imports in at first. They just sold it purely on British talent. And then when I see Fergal and Becky and Zack Sabre Jr. and they were doing Progress early on, selling these places out, and they were just the promoting around them. I thought absolutely outstanding. And then I'm seeing on the WWE, I think, oh my god, you know. But then I don't make a big deal of it, anything like that. And I see someone who says, "Oh yeah, you've seen Finn, you've seen Finn." Oh yeah, I've seen Finn. What do you think of him? Yeah, he's all right. It's not bad, you know. And when he started, but there you go. Moving on. I said, "What really?" I said, "Yeah, don't know about it."
That's incredible.
When I went to the States with him, he says, "What do you mean you went to the States with him?" Yeah, I went to the States with him, Mossy and Paul Tracy. And then we ended up doing the tag match, and then Paul Tracy and Fergal wanted to do this move where they had me upside down. And Paul Tracy or Fergal has me upside down in his legs, and he says, "Oh, I want to do a Styles Clash." I says, "What the fuck is a Styles Clash?" And Paul will come off the second turnbuckle and drop kicks you in the face where you've got to put your head back. I thought, okay, yeah, fine. So I'm going to potentially break my neck. Yeah, go for it. Not a problem. Because how was that then? Lovely.
What was it like working in the States compared to the UK?
I didn't find it that different. I went over for the 53rd anniversary show, the NWA. Mossy couldn't wrestle at the time because he'd done his elbow, I think. Yeah, he'd done his elbow. So he was just out there as a purely like to represent because Andre didn't go that year. So it was me, Mossy, Fergal, Paul, and this other fella called Ben who come from Fergal's and Paul's training school, or might have been their mate or something like that. Anyway, so we'd done the anniversary show. I went on the first night, and then Fergal was going against this one called Spider for the British Commonwealth Championship, and I went against Paul. And then I found that weird first of all, and then we befriended this guy called or this wrestler. His working name was Vinny Viagra. Couldn't write it on the wall, that one. Okay, so yeah, so Vinny managed to get us another booking out there, and it was in this. And then I says, "How far?" We says, "How far is it?" It's not far. It's about a 4-hour drive. Not far. 4-hour drive. Yeah, it's only down the road. Okay, I think in America it's like 14 times bigger than what we are, but there you go. So we was in the car journey with Vinny Viagra, and then Mossy was getting more and more drunk as he goes, as he was. He was not more of a drinker then. Yeah, I don't think he is now. But so we had a match like Fergal and Paul against me and Vinny Viagra. Mossy weren't meant to wrestle, but as Mossy was had a little bit more to drink, right, he wasn't overly drunk, he was a bit tipsy. He says, "Oh, I'm going to wrestle." I said, "Mossy, you can't." He said, "No, I'll be fine, Russell." I said, "No, you can't." "No, Paul Fergal, don't want to." Anyway, he went in and wrestled a match. Crazy. Absolutely crazy, but he got away with it. And anyway, so it's time for Fergal and Paul. Sorry, Siri. Fergal and Paul against myself and Vinny Viagra. And then Vinny said to me, he says, "Are we going to need a gimmick, aren't we?" I said, "What do you mean going to need a gimmick? Like a foreign object to get the heat?" I said, "No, we won't." He says, "No, we will." I said, "No, we won't." Anyway, I've done exactly the same thing as I do in this country. Picked out someone, worked the crowd, and blah, 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 and got the faces over, and then like managed to get all the tags. But tag matches are so easy for heat as well. Like you don't have to tag. You can do this and do that. You know what I mean? That's what fresh. Again, sorry, off the sidetrack. A lot of the younger talent with the tag matches. Tip heels, you don't need to tag if the referee don't look, because that'll get you the heat as well. Please remember that. Anyway, going back to this, me and Vinny was like doing this, and I was just again, I was used to tagging with Justin, so like me and Justin, we just knew what each other was doing, and I knew and just understood. I just studied tag matches as well. You know what I mean? Owen and the Bulldog, great team. Who else? Great team out there. The Midnight Express, again, how they didn't tag and things like that. You know, great tag teams to learn from. So we got all the heat, and then obviously the place erupted when the two Irish boys, when Paul and Fergal got their win and got their victory on me, you know. And then we came back, and Vinny says, "Oh my God," this is what I says, "I can't believe we got all that amount of heat and we didn't have a gimmick to use." It's just all about working a minute, Vinny, you know. But yeah, but no, it weren't any different. I think it was easier because they're Americans. They'll fall for anything.
That'll get you over now. That's good. I think that's like when people talk when I've done the interviews and stuff, and I speak to people about British wrestling, and it's from an American point of view, they always say about the level of quality of work, not just from a physical technical point of view, but the overall mindset and things. And I think that's a perfect example of that, because you're so used to working a crowd and working that, getting that heat in that way without having to need something else. And then obviously that builds up that later down the line, if you do need to use something, then great, but you don't always have to use something, and it can kind of cheapen it if you do almost. So that's great. It's amazing stories to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. I didn't. I was going to ask about Balor, but you've answered it nicely for me. Thank you. In terms of obviously your career in the UK, obviously working for lots of different companies, I believe you did a little bit. You've done some coaching. Is it UKPW? You did some coaching.
Yeah, great little promotion they are as well now. I mean, Anton was the head honcho there. I didn't train really. I just done some shows for him. I don't think they had a training school. They ain't got a training school. But I'm still doing, like, it's obviously been taken over by Alex Gilbert and Fentus and that. I think I've got a show booked from coming up. But yeah, they're going to take it on to the next level, which is, again, it's great to see. You know what I mean? Just hopefully there'll be good things for UKPW. So any fans out there, keep an eye on UKPW and see what they're going to do. I mean, they've got an influx of talent from Catch 22 training school, what Mike Bird runs. Great school that is as well. Great trainer. So if you want to learn, you want to go and do some, learn some professional, get yourself down to Catch 22 and then jump in the ring with Mike Bird, and then he'll take you through and learn how, so you can learn how to wrestle and things, but yeah, so that's up and coming.
Cool. Sounds very exciting. I was going to ask you a bit about your fondest sort of memories, really. They don't have to necessarily be about matches, or they could be about people or events, or any crowds in particular you really remember. Have you got a handful of sort of fondest memories when you think about career moments for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, how the Muscles Mansfield character came about, so I was tagging up, me and Justin was tagging up against Tansy Cook and Alex Shane. Again, I was like skinny as anything, like 9 stone. It was like in this little village hall called in Gillingham, like little church hall in Gillingham. Anyway, we were tagging up, and then I sent Tansy into like a corner, and then she staggered out, and I drop kicked her, and then I looked at Alex. He went, fuck. Looked at Justin and goes, fucking hell, mate. He says, what's the matter? I says, you almost broke her fucking nose. I says, what do you mean? He says, you almost broke her fucking nose. And then Tansy said, the drop kick was fine. So I don't know how, again, I've done that. But anyway, I remember just doing a double bicep pose. Of course, there's no muscles there. So I was getting the heat from that. And then after the show, like, we had a good match, and it was one of them matches that we wished we taped it, but we didn't. And look back at it, it was like, it was good. I remember it being a good match because me and Justin got a load of heat from it. But anyway, so I was doing the double bicep pose, and I was getting booed and things like that. And then it was around Andre's house after we put the ring away, and then took it back to the lockup where the ring was stored. And we got into Andre's place about 2:00 in the morning, something silly like that. It was summer June. It was in the summer June night. It was. Anyway, so after the show, Andre would like to open up a bottle of wine and just to relax with a glass of wine or something like that, so, and put some music on. We was all sitting around. It was me, Dean, Alex, and Justin sitting around. I don't know if Mike was there as well. A Rod Stewart song came on called "Do You Think I'm Sexy?" And you just see the smile in Andre's face and the light bulb go in his head. That's it, he goes. I'm thinking, oh God, well, this is your last name Mansfield. I says, yeah. So what goes with Mansfield? You double bicep, doing double bite, and they were like booing you. I know. Call you Muscles Mansfield. That's what you'd be called. Adam Muscles Mansfield. Yeah, that would work quite well. Yeah, he goes. He's like putting it all together. I'm thinking, okay, where's he going with this? Is you could be this bad guy now, couldn't you? Like, You could go in a rope, you could put a towel around your neck, and you can think like you're really hench 16 stone, like ripped to pieces. But you're going to get in there first because you're going to think this, and the crowd will boo and laugh at you. But then you've got in there first. I've got a robe upstairs that you could actually wear as well. You could have that if you wanted. That would be 50 quid. I thought, is this going to get me on more shows? Okay, I buy it. So he managed to sell one of his old robes for 50 quid to me, right? So I could be able to get on more shows as well. Good salesman, isn't he? So, and then, yeah, so I've done that. So that was it. That was the Muscles Mansfield character born. And I said to Justin at first, I hate it. I don't want to do it. But then I know he thinks it's going to work. And I debuted it in Margate. I think Jim the Anvil Neidhart was on that show as well. And me and Justin were backstage, and then we just remember Jim the Anvil Neidhart just giving this dirty look. And then me and Justin think, what are you looking at? Went out and done the match. Justin was all for it, and I was like still pretty wary of it, but I got through it. But as it went on, that's how Muscles came about, and that's what the debut of it was in Margate in the Winter Gardens. But as it's gone on, I've just made the Muscles character more myself as well, you know. So yeah, so it's stuck.
That's incredible.
That's what I'm known as. Yeah, but that's the story of how it came about. So do you think I'm sexy in Andre's house?
See, that's amazing.
More shows.
Yeah, and it's worked. It's worked for it's really worked, and it continues to work now because the way you portray it, and obviously, like you say, you've developed it over the years, but that's why it works. You've kind of, because it is it's a natural element of your personality from then, and you've just taken it over the years as well. But that's brilliant. I love the fact you had to buy the robe as well.
I know, yeah, 50 quid. But what I might do, it's the best 50 quid I spent because, like, look what it's done for me now, you know. So yeah, God bless his heart, Andre. Thank you very much.
Nice. Well, that's the kind of thing that I think I really look on fondly when I hear stories between wrestlers, and it's the personal lives between you guys and road stories and all the rest of it that come out that just sort of make it such an incredible industry that it must be, it's worth all the pain and the hassle and all the rest of it, because you get some amazing memories like that from the trenches together.
Yeah. I mean, as well, that taught me as well, doing that gimmick, starting with the Muscles gimmick and keeping the Muscles gimmicks, is you got to have fun.
Yeah.
That's how I see the Muscles character is he has fun. No matter if he's a villain or if he's a good guy. You know what I mean? He has fun. He has fun like being booed. He has fun like beating up the good guy. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm always going to enjoy it. I'm always going to have fun with it, you know? The Muscles character will always going to come out in a robe. People might say, oh, the Muscles character is a bit dated, but then I do a lot of things with it. Like I could be like a Ric Flair-esque type with it, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I could do the Owen Hart-esque with it. There's an element of Owen Hart in there. There's an element of Ric Flair in there. There's an element of whatever. I mean, I could go serious with the Muscles character. I think, well, no, actually, no. I could be like vindictive and things like that with the Muscles character. You know, that's being the bad guy. But then if I'm a good guy, I'll be this cheeky sod, you know what I mean? Cheeky bastard that I'll still cheat, but then I'll get away with it and I'll get cheered for it, you know, like an Eddie Guerrero type sort of character with Muscles, you know. So there's a little bit of elements that I've noticed, think, oh, that'll work, but I'm going to incorporate that and then do it that way, you know.
Yeah.
So if I'm a good guy with Muscles character, this is a name that you might pick up, is Les Kellett type esque as well. Yeah, so I watch a lot of Les Kellett stuff now. He does the things, you know what I mean, which would work as well, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms, obviously, because I will share. Obviously, I'm going to share some links and stuff because I found a good handful of your matches on the likes of YouTube from different promotions, and that some are like full matches, some are highlights, and that. So I'll get some links shared out. But in terms, obviously, because you obviously wrestling's back in the UK and crowds are back and events are back on. Is there anything in particular you want to? Is there any companies you really kind of got your eye on thinking, oh, I'd love to just tick that one off the list, or anyone you want to go back and work for again?
So I want to work for used to be IPW, but he's FNW now, Billy Wood. I know he's running again. I can, like, the character there. I mean, I could do anything there. I mean, the promoter is the promoter, and I can do anything I need to. Because at the end of the day, I'm a worker, I'm a wrestler. I can just do what I need to do, but I think I can make the character work in there. Progress, I'd like to work for Progress as well. There's some great talent I see in there, not just because it's on the WWE Network, because I just see the great talent that's there. WAW in Norwich, I mean, they've been going years. I like to work for All Star. There's lots of promotion I still like to work for. I'm going to be working on the 29th of October, actually. I'm going to be working for Rumble Promotions. I've just booked me this week. So I'm going to be there. I think that's in Kemsley. Again, I'm working for UKBW. Like to carry on with UKPW as well. I've got a show. I think I may be booked up there soon as well in the near future. So keep your eyes peeled out for that one. I'll try and be good on my social media. I'm not very good on it, and I do try and keep up on it. So bear with me. But yeah, there's loads of promotions still that I want to work for. If there is any promotions that I've missed, I mean, that's the only promotions I know. And there's Premier Promotions, of course, with Fremantle that still runs. Hopefully, I think he's still running. I like to work for them as well. There's Phoenix Promotions that Steve Minnelli runs as well. I do little bits with him. But yeah, so there's lots of promotions I still like to work for. Just promoters, reach out to me, speak to me, talk to me.
Well, I was going to ask, what's the best way for a promoter to get in touch with you, and then what's the best way for fans to interact and support you?
So promoters, you can easily email me at my email address, mansfield48@hotmail.com, or promoters, you can ring me if you want to. My phone number's on Facebook, I believe, or you can message me on Messenger to get my phone number. I think it's the best way. But yeah, so I'm on my Facebook page. I've got a Mansfield Facebook page, which I try and keep up. I'm on Twitter as well, Mans77, I think. I don't know, can't remember now, but you'll see me. Instagram, I've got, again, I can't remember it, but again, it's all linked to my Facebook. I'm so crap with this. I'm used to like posters and things like that.
It's because you're the muscle. No, it's because you're the boss, and you've got the henchmen that that do it all for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
You don't need to be doing that. That's
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Sit there with your towel on, and you do that. You do that.
I'll relax. Yeah.
Well, I'll put, as I said to you, I'll put the links below on the description on YouTube or on social underneath this video. There'll be the links to your social media. Before we wrap up, I just would love to ask you a little bit about, as I say, if you've got in mind a favourite match of your career, something if you had to pick one match to go, I want to watch that over again. Just what would that be?
That's good with me in it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got. Can I do 4?
Yeah.
The reason why
There's no rule to it. It's just I would love the insight because I want to share. I want to share your happy.
One match I'd like to see again is like me and Justin Richards in Stratford in Lewisham Theatre. It was our local venue. It was a hair versus hair match. That was one of them. And then one of the other one, I might be 5 actually, but another one I had with Justin was for CSF with Stu Net. Justin had a frozen shoulder. And I had to protect him with his frozen shoulder. He couldn't lift his shoulder, but I had to protect him so much with that shoulder. So again, I'd like to see that match again. So Stu Nat, if you're listening to this, can you please send me a copy of me and Justin Richards in Melksham? Because I'd like to see it again. I think Mr. Richards would like to see it again as well. Just how I protected him and how I had to work for it. I had to carry the match for that. Yeah. So I'd like to see that match again. So that was a good match I'd like to see. I had a match with Doug in Sittingbourne, Doug Williams. I don't think Doug expected much from it then. But then when he came out, he was really pleased with it. So I'd like to see that match again. Me and John Ryan, that's on YouTube, on the Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge. I could watch that over and over and over again. And then a quite recent match that I liked, it was for UKPW, where I lost the belt to Maverick Mayhew, which I'm proud of. Because again, he's a great wrestler as well, and he's this modern time now. He's a wrestler in modern time, and I've come from this old school I came late from early on, and I've sort of incorporated my style and his style and the style that's now like a progress type style or FNW type style, you know. And yes, I was able to keep up with him. You know what I mean? Which I'm so proud of. Which is a good match as well. That's on YouTube as well, I believe. Yeah, so they're the matches I like. They're the matches that stood out for me, I think.
And in terms of your memories of them, is there anything in particular that makes you think that way? Is it the way the story worked and the match worked?
No, it's just the way the story works. So the me and Justin, like, I mean the hair versus hair match again. The one why that sticks out is because it's our local town. You know what I mean? We both come from there, and that was our local venue and our local hall, and it's all built around us. You know what I mean? And the Melksham match, again, Justin with his frozen shoulder, and like me and Justin have been friends for God knows how long. I don't know. I don't know how I've put up with him really, but there you go. But no, he's yeah, that match was like special to me because I had to look. He was my best mate. I had to look after him with a frozen shoulder. No, so that stood out for me. Whereas the Doug match again, Doug was like when we first started, Doug was this star. He got pushed into this star, and I think I'm never going to reach his level. If I wrestle, I'm going to be really nervous. But then I was comfortable when I wrestled him and worked him. So I'd like to see that match again. Again, that's lost in the archives somewhere, you know. but I know I can still. I like to work and wrestle him again. Actually, what was the other match I said? Maverick Mayhew match.
Yeah, the title match. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I was pleased with that one because again, I was able to. Like, I'm like generations apart. I was like 2 generations apart, but I'm still able to keep up with him. You know what I mean? It's like, and the psychology was there as well. It's like everything just felt right and fell into place. You know what I mean? Everything was just there, and I can watch. I watched that over and over and over again. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, Stuart. There was another one as well. It was for IPW. It was at Selsdon. It was a tables match. Me and Stuart Shepherd, or Mountain Stew. Again, that just felt everything fell into place. You know what I mean? Yeah, everything fell into place. The table didn't break because we had a dodgy leg. And I can remember Edler coming back to us, and he says, "That worked quite well, didn't it?" I just had that look. Thinking, what do you mean that worked quite well? You got quite a lot of heat out there, didn't you? I said, "What, you mean, yeah." I think we might have to do that again. Finally, the penny's dropped. It's right. But anyway, so yeah, so I was pleased with that, Matt. Pleased with Mountain Stew. Again, Stews, he's a hard worker. He's underrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, I like to see him go a bit more, you know, like be able to see him used a little bit more. And then me and John Ryan.
Honestly, it's fun. It's fun when I've seen him wrestle, and there's a good group of lads that go to quite a lot of events in wrestling events, and they do the little chant for him, Stu, Mountain Stew.
Yeah.
I like that. That's great. But I was going to say that's a tag team I would love to see. Muscles and Mountain Stew. That would be incredible to see together.
I mean, we had a few tags matches that we've been together, I think, as well. You know what I mean? I think there was one time Anton put us together. He's done his last true. He's doing he has a new gimmick now, the last true superstar. So that's a good gimmick for him. Comes out in the robe. But no, yeah, that character works. Yeah, exactly. No, that character works well for him as well. No, so he gets it. You know what I mean? He gets that side of it. Again, a little bit more. You know what I mean? Little like he has to be a bit more confident. I think he just lacks a little bit of confidence, and you know, if you understand what I mean. Just got to relax a bit more, I would say to him. But no, he's talented.
Yeah, very talented. Maverick Mayhew, obviously, I've had the pleasure of seeing him a few times with Battle Pro. So yeah, I'll check your match out online. So I've not seen that yet, but that'd be great to see because that sounds ideal. Your 2 styles coming head to head. That's exactly what I like to see how it works and how it comes together. So I'll enjoy that. And then I say Doug's one of my heroes. I've got so much love for Doug, and he's very very giving with his time, and I'm so pleased he's back wrestling. And weirdly enough, we're recording this on his actual birthday. So yeah, do you want to challenge him? Is that that's what you want to do?
Yeah, Doug, I'm still about. If you're still about, let's try and find somewhere where we can have a bout, eh? And see who wins. See who the true legend of British wrestling is, eh? Call yourself the ambassador. I'm the legend, the forgotten one.
Love it.
Happy birthday, Doug. People got training schools or anything like that. I'm more than happy to come and do any sort of I can't say it.
Seminar.
Yeah, seminars. Yeah, seminars. You know what I mean? I'm happy to come and share my experience, share my knowledge with training schools and things like that. So if there's anyone's running a training school, then please, yeah, reach out to me, and I'm quite happy to come down to a training school and help out and pass on some knowledge what I've got. You know, yeah.
So, well, thank you very much, Muscles. I really appreciate you giving me your time tonight. Some incredible stories there, and an amazing career to sort of look back over with the mixture of people you've worked with. Doug Williams, Finn Balor, obviously I call him that, you call him Fergal. I won't get away with that as much as a fan as I am, and obviously nicely tied up with Maverick Mayhew, who's obviously carrying the flag now going forward. Really looking forward to come and see you again live when I can. So please do, keep sharing your events, and thank you so much for sharing your stories tonight.
My pleasure. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure talking to you and sharing my stories, and just hopefully just keep British wrestling around. No, please keep British wrestling alive. Please attend the shows and keep the numbers up. We're still good. Come and see the talent that's going to that's up and coming, and give them your support. Because without, again, quoting John Short, without punters, there'll be no wrestling shows. Without no wrestling shows, there'll be no punters. So please keep it going.